holding, and her eyes were still open, and I was like, dude, she does not look alive. Like, this is not good.
Hello, guys. How are you today? Welcome back to This Is Not a Podcast. Now, today I have a very special guest as I have Mr. Justin Tompkins. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's been a good, what, 10 years since the last. No, not 10 years. Well, like 8 to 9
It might have
years.
been like when did we last see each other? I know we saw
No,
each other
I think the
in
last.
Oshkosh. Yeah, it probably has been like 10 years then.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's
Anyway,
see.
we kind of did the little introduction. So, yeah, I guess let's start. So, my first question is, how have you been? How's life been treating you, bud?
It's good, you know.
Yeah,
Haven't gone to college. I don't plan on going to college,
fair.
but it's just the career's been good. Um, and yeah, things have been pretty steady. I am doing pretty well, like life wise.
Nice,
I know what I
nice.
want, and I've seen a lot of other people, like a lot of people I went to high school with or I was friends with earlier, like they kind of don't really know what to do, which is fine.
Yeah,
But I'm blessed to say I am in a pretty good position. Yeah.
that's so awesome. Kind of college dropouts that have not really went to college at all, or went to college for a year and then they just kind of dropped out, and they're doing completely fine. Like one of my friends, Nathan, who also did this podcast. He was in college for about a year or so, and then he just like kind of just dropped out because he was like
Yeah.
wasn't for him, and he didn't like it, and so he's actually doing really well at the moment. So,
Mhm.
well, also, is there like anything happening to you right now in the future? Anything exciting?
So I am going to or I'm planning on going to paramedic school in the fall,
Oh,
and that's pretty
nice.
exciting. Yes. So I'm gonna go to the orientation, which is gonna be on the 22nd. It's at this really good college. It's called Ben Clark. It's in Moreno Valley, Riverside-ish area, like the border of those. But they're probably like the best paramedic school locally. I mean, the next best would be Crafton, which is right next to where I live, but they have a really weird wait list right now.
Okay.
So I think Ben Clark's the way to go right now. But I'm pretty excited for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. That's awesome. Paramedics.
Yeah.
That's a big step right there for sure. Which this is kind of like a no personal question, but do you have any hobbies? What stuff do you like to do usually when you're out of work?
When I'm at work,
When
let
you're out of
me
work, I'm sorry.
out of work.
Like
When
your
I'm out
hobbies,
of
like
work,
stuff you like to do,
my
activities.
hobby is picking up shifts and working. That's my hobby. Like I literally, oh, it's over there, but I got an award for picking up more shifts than anyone else in the division last year.
Really?
And I started in like February. I cleared FTO time in March. Um,
Whoa.
so yeah, and I'm still like known as like the supervisors know that like if they put up a shift, I'm probably gonna pick it up first.
Oh my goodness.
It's just I love my job. It's much better than what I was doing earlier, and when you pick up overtime, you might get double your pay. Usually, you do.
Whoa.
Um, yeah,
Oh,
you
that's
might get double
so
time and a half. Yeah,
nice.
and the biggest I've seen is double time and a half plus 250. So, but usually
Whoa.
right now it's double time. They're trying to step away from the double time and a half,
Yeah. Yeah.
just because it's expensive.
Yeah, yeah,
But they,
exactly.
but we our company AMR did come close to losing their contract, so they needed to get people to pick up shifts. So they were doing double time and a half for a while, but they got the
Okay.
contract, so now it's just double time. They got to stay in compliance still. So
Wow. That's awesome. That's
yeah. Yeah.
awesome. Well,
So a lot of people say like, "Oh, the California dream, blah blah blah." But guys, the California dream, it's if you come out here, like I wish I could show you like the kind of California that I'm in right now. It's
oh my
just there was a
gosh.
meme that I saw on somebody's story. It was like this is the kind of California that I live in. It's like this homeless guy pushing another homeless guy in a shopping cart. But that is how it is. That's
No,
literally how it is. Like
exactly.
if I went down the street like right over there, I might see some naked homeless guy looking for fentanyl in a dumpster. Like that's normal. That's a normal
Oh
thing
my
here.
gosh.
So,
What? Completely
yeah.
naked?
And
Okay.
I guess like
We don't have that in Colorado,
yeah.
but dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like we didn't have that in Pennsylvania either, because like during the winter they won't survive, because
No,
these
gosh, no.
people like being homeless. That's or some of them do, or sorry, most of them do. There are some homeless people that are struggling and they will get themselves out of it, but a lot of these guys, especially working on an ambulance, a lot of them just want to be homeless and
Really?
they want to just be homeless and get the free money from the government and do their drugs, get their alcohol. That's just kind of how it is. I even had one straight up tell me. I asked him. I was like, "Why do you like living like this?" Because what this guy was doing was, he would get a check from the county, for being like he had like some mental disability or something. He
Okay.
would get a check from the government for being disabled. He would spend it all at a motel. He'd get hookers, meth, drugs, and then
What?
once the motel, he would just stay there until the hotel would kick him out, or call the police, and then they'd kick him out, and
Right.
then they'd be like, "Oh, this guy is mentally disabled." So they would put him on what's called a 5150 hold, which is where, basically, if you are a danger to yourself, danger to others, or you are gravely disabled, which means you can't take care of yourself, which that's what they'll say he is. They'll put him on that, and then he'll give him to us, the ambulance. We'll take
Oh
him to
no.
a mental health facility where he gets to stay for 3 days and eat food and blah blah blah. And then he'll just get kicked out on the street, live homeless, and then another month goes by. He'll go to the county building, get his money back, and he'll repeat the process. That's what he was doing. I asked him, "Why do you like living like this? Like why? Like why? Why do you just like it?" And he said, "Oh, dude, well, everyone knows that if you can just make it to California, like whether it be a bus ride, hitchhike, plane ride, if you can just make it to California, you get free money, free healthcare, free food, all that." So I was like, yeah, fair enough. I mean,
What?
but that's
That's
how it is. That's just how it
crazy.
is,
That
you
is
know.
crazy. I've
And,
never heard of that
and again,
before.
for, I'm not trying to like talk politics or just like form an opinion about it, but
Right.
as an EMT on an ambulance, that's the reality. That's what these most of these people are doing. I'll have people call 911, and they have like 5 hospital wristbands that are like fresh. They've got the
Oh my
electrodes from
gosh.
the last time they called 911 a week ago. Like, they'll call 911 and they'll have us take them to the hospital because we can't refuse. And then uh, they're completely fine. The nurses will be like, "Oh, why? What are you doing here? You were just here like 3 hours ago." And they'll be
Oh,
like, "Oh," she'll be like, "Oh, I didn't know." Like we know these people on a first name basis. They just want to go there, get their sandwich, and then leave.
oh my
So
goodness. That's so
yeah,
crazy.
again,
Holy moly.
yeah. Again, I'm not saying all homeless people are bad. There are a lot of homeless people who are struggling, or people who actually do have mental health illnesses. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
realistically, if you wanted to, you could just if you could get diagnosed with anything, like just be like pretend to be schizophrenic, you might be able to find some idiot doctor to prescribe you medications for it or something, and now you live that life if you want it, which unfortunately a lot of people are doing. So
What? So they
that is
can
one.
they
Yeah.
can be prescribed for schizophrenic and have like what like free medication for it?
Well, sorry. Oh yeah, they do get free medication. Yes. And I've seen this a lot. A lot of people, so that mental health facility that we were talking about,
Right.
it's called in Riverside County, it's called Emergency Treatment Services, ETS. We call it ETS. I've
Okay.
seen people come out, they walk out of the building with their medications that they just got for free, by the way, that we paid for with our
Whoa.
tax money, and they throw
What?
it in the trash.
What?
Yeah, I've seen that.
My
Yeah, they'll
gosh,
just throw it
what?
in the trash. Yeah. It's
No
insane.
way. What? Oh my
Yeah, a lot of
gosh.
yes, like these people need help. I get it. They need help, but a lot of them don't want the help. They just want the free ride, or yeah, or they just don't want to help themselves. So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. So
that's
like they
that's
need
the
the help, but they
problem.
don't
Yeah,
want the help anymore.
yeah, or they just don't think that the help's gonna work, or the medications don't work, and maybe they don't work. And that's why they're
Oh
throwing them
my
away. But
gosh.
it's like it is a big waste of money,
I was about to say,
especially I don't like healthcare here is not free. Like for me, if I broke my arm or something, and I needed a ride to the hospital, and I took the ambulance, like they'd send me a bill. It would be really
yeah,
expensive, especially if my insurance didn't cover it. But like homeless people or some of these people, I just don't know like where they're getting the money. Like the homeless, I know the homeless people just don't get the bill. 'Cause, like they're homeless, they're like the county
exactly.
will just pay for it, or the ambulance will just the ambulance service or the hospital loses money. Um, but like some of these people who just call 911 all the time, Like I don't know how like you guys have really good insurance. Like I had a guy call the ambulance because and have us take him to the hospital because he couldn't afford an Uber. And he was completely fine by the way. Like his like something about if I remember right, it was like something about like part of his foot was hurting for a few days and he's like, "Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. Like I couldn't afford an Uber. And I do want to get checked out. So I just called 911 and if you guys could just give me a ride, that'd be great."
Oh
And I'm like,
my gosh.
"Okay."
A guy just
And he was
called an
like, "Yeah, something
ambulance.
about my insurance." Yeah,
Sups
yeah.
everyone.
Uh, and again, this is all just the tip of the iceberg of just the bullshit that EMS has to deal with. But
Holy moly.
yeah,
That's insane. So a guy just
yeah.
basically called an ambulance for an Uber just because his foot hurts a little bit and that's it?
Oh yeah, that people do that all the time. I mean, I've had people call because they couldn't sleep. I've had people call like just, oh, I just want my vitals checked. Like, yeah, I just want my vitals checked. Like, we don't, and then we take their vitals, completely fine. It's like, do you want to go to the hospital? No. So, which I'm completely fine with. I'm okay if like. I've had people where it's like, I want my checked. Okay, everything comes back normal. Do you want to go to the hospital? Yeah. So now we have to drive them to the hospital. That might be like 35 minutes away.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
you know.
Holy
But
moly.
yeah,
The amount of like stories I
yeah.
bet you have are like insane. And that's one of my questions is like
Mhm.
so so far we've heard really insane stories, but I want to know what is the craziest story you could tell us being an EMT?
The craziest? I mean, it depends on what you find crazy. I mean, there's funny stories, there's really sad stories. I guess
Oh,
what's something crazy? Some
we
crazy
could go
story that I had.
for how
This
about
so actually this is pretty crazy. This happened literally last this week actually. Yeah, a couple days ago. So
okay.
we got on so I'm like sleeping in the station. It's like nighttime. It's like I the phone wakes me up. It's like 4 a.m. and I read it and it says male on the ground, unconscious, not breathing, and I'm like, wonderful. This might be a full arrest, which is just cardiac arrest, which means they're dead. You need to do CPR and try to bring them back
Right.
to life. So like wonderful. So I get up, I get into the ambulance, we go through there, and then like I see they fire, the fire engine's there, um, and we're like I grab the gurney, we walk in, and the wife is just like sitting in the corner, she's crying.
Oh.
And then and then this is what happens. So I got the gurney, and it takes AMR. If fire and AMR get on scene at the same time, it takes AMR a little bit longer to get in, like not by that much longer, but the
Okay.
fire will go in first because
Right,
we have to
right.
get our equipment, our gurney, and they're supposed to bring their equipment in. Sometimes they don't. Thankfully, this time they did.
Okay.
But we have to carry the gurney, and the gurney is just hard to move. So fire
Yeah.
got in there first in the room, and we come in there with the gurney, and I see him, firefighters, they're like dragging the guy out to an area we can work with because during a full arrest, a lot of the times people will code or they'll just collapse in the bathroom
Oh.
because when you're about to die or if you're having an MI or a heart attack, sometimes you feel like you need to just go to the bathroom or they're just like, man, I want to throw
Oh.
up. So that's why a lot of times people will collapse in the bathroom, and it's hard to do a full arrest in the bathroom. So they're like grabbing the guy out, yanking him into this other room so we could work on him. And they start compressions. I can hear the ribs breaking, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Ooh.
And then
Ooh.
Fire was like, okay, so Fire was like, yeah, we were here first, so we'll just put him on our monitor and we'll run it. It's like really rare. Usually they just want us to run it. I was like, cool, man. So I like they were grabbing their stuff. I grabbed their BVM and I just held the mask the whole time. I just held the mask. And then the other firefighter, he bagged him, and the other people were depressions. My partner, she got an IO, which is intraosseous. She drilled a little needle into his um she got a humoral IO, which
Okay.
is like getting a little needle and drilling it into the bone right here, and then you can push
Ooh.
medications through that way.
What?
So yeah, we
Okay.
did CPR. So his rhythm was asystole, meaning it was just a flat line, meaning there's no electrical activity going on the heart. The heart's
Oh.
just kind of at a standstill.
Oh gosh.
And usually if it's asystole, like it's just like kind of like that's it. They're done. I mean, we don't
Okay.
call it yet. We still work
Right.
them, but
Right.
usually, like, and
It's
at
pretty
least from
much.
my experience with asystole, usually that's just kind of a sign that you're probably not gonna bring him back. If you do, it
Right.
won't be for very long.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But we were doing so we did compressions, we worked it. And then after the 2 minutes was up, and they gave epi, he was in PEA, which is pulseless electrical activity. So
Okay.
basically, there was like electrical activity in the heart, but it wasn't like doing anything. So he
Right.
still like do compressions and stuff. But then when he was doing compressions, I noticed he went from PEA into VTAC. I mean, there was already like you the compressions does really like interrupt the rhythm, but I saw like he was in solid VTAC even with the compressions. I could see that on the monitor. I was like, huh, is that VTAC or is that just his compressions? That's like weird, you
What?
know? But then we did the pull check rhythm check, and yeah, he was in VTech. And I'm like, okay, cool. So then we shocked him, and then yeah, he was it was a normal rhythm. We got him back into sinus, and he had like a really good pulse for someone who just came back from cardiac arrest. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, okay, cool. I was like, cool. We brought him back. I wasn't expecting that, but we brought him back.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
and yeah, we went code 3 to the hospital, and it was a good day. Yeah, I don't know. He didn't wake up or anything. He might be a little bit like he might be a little brain dead because the wife did say that he was down for 20 minutes before we got there,
Right, right.
which as you know, like that's a whole 20 minutes where your brain's not getting oxygen. Like I don't know how
Exactly.
if you've ever tried to hold your breath, like can you get anything past a minute?
But go.
Anything after 6 minutes is when your brain tissue starts to die, and this guy was out for 20. So,
So what
he
was
might
his
be a little brain dead after.
what
Mhm.
happened to
Yeah.
him?
So he was a dialysis patient,
Okay.
which basically means his kidneys don't work, and
Right.
obviously your kidneys filter your blood for toxins and stuff. So, and if you can't like a kidney transplant would solve that issue, but it's hard to find kidneys, so people go on dialysis. They get their basically what happens is they get their blood filtered for them through a machine, and they have
Okay.
to go like maybe once or twice a week.
Right, right.
So that's what dialysis is. So with dialysis patients, it is a pretty common thing to see them just die because, I
Oh.
mean, it there's just all these complications with it.
Right.
And you're not healthy. So yeah, if you have to go on dialysis, you have an expiration date. I mean, we all have expiration dates. We're all gonna die, but with
Yeah,
dialysis,
yeah,
especially, you're
exactly.
gonna, you know,
So his kind of like
um,
his time was up, but somehow
I
you
don't
guys
know. Well,
resurrected him.
clearly not. We
Yeah,
brought him
exactly. Clearly not.
back.
His date
Yeah,
wasn't there yet, but it kind of gave like the impression like, oh hey, he pretty much died. And
I
20
thought he was
minutes
just gonna
without
die.
oxygen is pretty much dead. And like you said,
Yeah.
his signs were kind of just flat, so he for a good while. So the guy was kind of pretty much dead, and you resurrected him back. So,
Well, sort of, yeah, I guess resurrected. But
well,
that was the first guy. That's the first time I've ever like had someone. That's the first time ever gotten Rosk on a patient. Usually when I've had a full arrest, it's always been we just call it because they're just dead. And
yeah,
I've ran
exactly.
like a good number of full arrests. That was the first time where we got Rosk, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I know in our division. If we bring a patient back after a full arrest, we're
Okay.
supposed to get like these little certificates that basically say that we're a hero.
Okay.
So I'm like wondering if I'm gonna get one of those. But
You
yeah,
definitely
I'm
should.
hoping
You
I
definitely deserve that.
do.
Yeah, you definitely deserve it for sure, bro.
Now,
Like
I
you
mean,
pretty much
it,
saved the guy's
they
life.
have a. All I did. Hey, I sat there and I held the mask. I held that mask.
No,
I
but
made
this
sure.
still,
I watched his cabinet waveforms.
you're like, I'm
Yeah,
holding the mask to make
yeah,
sure he's okay. 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 Okay, he's back to life, thank God.
yep. That's what I did. Yeah,
I mean, it still
during a full arrest
counts.
was like a lot to do. Yeah, it does. I mean, someone had to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
It's
yeah.
not like no one else is going to hold that mask. You were the guy who was going to hold the mask, and I say you definitely deserve
There,
that award. 100%.
I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of things during a full arrest. Like, so you need someone on compressions. I'd say compressions is the most important thing. That's what's buying you time, and that's what's
I was
keeping
about
them
to
alive
say
because that's what's pumping blood to the brain. And then
exactly.
there's airway where you need someone to hold the mat. If you're doing it just BLS, which is with just an OPA, which is just kind of a tiny little thing to hold their tongue open, You need a mask, someone to hold the mask, and then someone to hold the to actually bag them, to squeeze the bag, to put air, to ventilate the patient.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
trying to
okay.
use terms where you guys will understand. You use the bag to force air down into their lungs to help them
Right,
breathe.
right,
Uh, yeah, I mean, you can do it with one person. You can hold the mask and hold the bag and squeeze them, but it's better if one person holds the mask themselves
right,
with two
right.
hands,
Okay.
because it's just sometimes it's hard to get a seal. And then you need the paramedic who's going to run the full arrest, who's going to call the shots for any of epi, this, and then it's nice to have another paramedic that can start an IV or start an IO or
Right,
drill an
right.
IO. Um, and then after that, I mean, there's just someone else who could get a blood sugar, I guess.
Okay, okay.
And then the fire captain who's been doing this for 40 years and doesn't want back writing everything down, doing all the paperwork because he doesn't want to do anything. and then, and then sometimes there's just some other people who are just waiting to switch out with compressions because it is you do get tired.
I was about to say,
Um,
yeah.
and then and usually with full rest, they try to do response with so two fire engines and an ambulance. So, and then some other people might just be around, picking up trash, because we're using a
Exactly.
lot of equipment.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. This is like similar because we had to take a CPR class up in summer camp because you're taking care of
yeah,
kids, so you need to know CPR. So we took a whole CPR class, and we had those little dummies, and oh my goodness, those things are hard to press down. Like, and plus, this is
yeah,
me being scrawny as like in like high school, bro. So I'm like this. I'm like
yeah,
not making much of a difference at all. And I was like, okay, I'm actually really going to try. So I actually did press really hard down. That took so much energy. And you have to do that continuously. Like, and you want to make those compressions hard enough so that, it reaches there. Oh my gosh, and that was
yeah,
so difficult. Those dummies were so hard. Like, holy crap, I didn't realize it was that hard.
yeah. Yeah, in real life, yeah, that's where I practiced on the dummies in my original CPR class, which I am a lifeguard instructor, so I can teach people how to do CPR. But the dummies they do a pretty good job.
Okay,
I do
okay.
say in real life it depends. Like, it's not going to be exactly like the dummies in
Well,
real life
right,
because you're
right.
going to get, like, you might get a really big person. You might get a 6'2", some fat guy who's 6'2". You might get a tiny little grandma, you know? So
Oh,
generally, in my experience, the bigger the person, the harder you're going to need to press.
right, right.
With a huge with a huge guy who weighs, I don't know, 200-300 pounds, you do just press as hard as you can,
Just press as
honestly.
hard as you
Just press as
can
hard as
and
you
just go
you
for
want to make
it.
sure you come up as yeah, make sure you come up enough, so where the heart can fill up with blood, but just aim for spine,
Okay,
but on
gotcha.
like a 90-year-old grandma who's like all frail and fragile, you don't have to press as hard. Just like hard enough hard
Hard
enough
enough,
where
but you don't
it's
want to
like
break
you think
anything.
it's gonna break the ribs, but not so hard where because I do know there was a guy someone told me about a story where they had an EMT student. So this person has no experience in the
Oh
field, but
no.
they're in school and they're on their ride out to just kind of see how it is.
Right.
But they had like this old 90-year-old grandma who was she also had like a trach tube, which is
Oh
basically like a little
no.
tube in her trachea to
Yeah.
help her breathe. But the
Oh
EMT student would just went like really hard, just went, and they and yeah, they just heard the crack, and then they were just like, oh, and then they
no.
saw like blood in her trach tube,
No.
and they're like, okay, not that hard, but just hard
That
enough.
poor lady.
Um,
Oh
I
no.
do think I think they brought her back though.
Oh,
I do think they
thank
brought her back
goodness. Thank goodness.
at
Oh
least for a
my.
little bit. Which I
Oh.
don't know if I'm like if I have a trach tube and I'm 90 years old and I'm in cardiac arrest, just let me go, man. Because when she wakes up, like her ribs are gonna be broken. Like she's gonna
Exactly.
have a drill, gonna have a drill in her arm. She's gonna be on like 15 different medications. She might have a
Oh.
catheter in her urinary tract, because
Right.
that's what they do in the hospital. Because they don't want you to piss yourself every time.
No, no,
So yeah, it's
oh no, I don't want
just
that.
let
No,
me go
thank
at that
you.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, I just let me go. I don't have to go through that whole process. No, thank you. That's too much pain and too much suffering. Just let me
Yeah.
go. Oh my goodness, that poor old lady. That is terrible. Oh, oh my gosh, that is absolutely terrible. I feel so bad. Wow. Well, That's
Yeah,
insane. That's you have. I really want to know more stories. To be honest with you, we should definitely do another podcast where you just share all of your like a
sure.
lot of just all stories. I would love to hear them all because like that they're so
Trying to-
interesting stories.
I don't want us to, because sometimes like I might come off as like a psychopath, where it's like, oh, you don't care about your patients, but it's just like you get used to it,
I
at
was
the end
about
of
to
the
say
day.
because
Like,
like to be honest with you, like okay, so like your patients obviously yes they do die and you've seen a lot of it first time yeah
yeah,
but that was very hard on you, you were very like shocked by it and stuff like that, but like it's a job and you see that every single day and so
yeah,
you're used to it now, and it's nothing, it's not to say that you're not a psychopath, it's just it's basically it's what happens, people die
yeah. I mean,
and you
there's
experience a
still
lot of
things
it.
that, yeah, there's things that do make us cry, like
Mm.
mostly with kids, when kids die,
Oh
it's not
no.
good, like I've had a 4-year-old full arrest, and we weren't even expecting it. Like the call was like for sepsis or something. I thought it was just going to be another
What?
grandma who wanted us to go to the hospital, but no, yeah, mom came out with her 4-year-old, and she just did not look good. She looked, the way I would describe it, she looked like some lifeless, creepy doll that she was just holding, and her eyes were still open, and I was like, dude, she does not look alive. Like, this is not good. But my
Oh
medic was like,
my
okay, he did a
god.
pulse check, and he's like, okay, let's just get her to the gurney. And yeah, we put her, and we were first on scene, by the way.
Right.
Usually for pediatric calls, the police are dispatched,
Okay.
because police can get on scene much faster than we can, because their
Right.
cars are a lot smaller, and then they can start compressions. But no,
Right.
we were first on scene. It should have been a two-engine response. Fire wasn't even there yet. And then we're like getting her into the ambulance. Well, sorry, we put her on the gurney. Um, and then I heard, how when like a fire truck or just any truck kind of like stops, you hear the sound.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I heard that outside, and I told my medic, okay, fire's here, and he's like, great. So we like bring her out of the house, and then he's like, where's fire? And it was a school bus, and I'm like, my bad. So then we just put her in the ambulance, and then I just start compressions right away. I mean, I figured her rhythm was already showing asystole, and we just figured it would be best to get her in the rig first. But as I was doing compressions, like so this brown liquid was coming out, was started pooling in her mouth and just started squirting out. It was like getting on my hands, which I was wearing gloves, by the way. But yeah,
Oh my
that was
gosh.
a really scary thing. And then I saw the fire got on scene finally. And they started going into the house. They didn't even know that we were in the ambulance. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, my medic, he just opens the ambulance door and he's like, "Guys, in here, arrest!" And they're like, "Okay." And then they get in there, and this guy's been forever, and they're still just like, "Oh my god, okay, what do I do? We're gonna go code 3 to Rancho Springs." And it didn't help that we were coming back from an area that I wasn't familiar with, because
Right.
we just went to we were coming back from a hospital that was just really far away,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was also like pretty new at the time.
Right.
Like I know
Ooh.
my area, like I do know my area really, really, but this area, it was just like another division area.
Right.
So I just wasn't familiar with the roads. I didn't even know where the closest hospital was. But the firefighters did. So I went code 3 there. I had to pull it up on my phone, which is really bad. Like as an EMT, you need to know like where your destination is and
Yeah,
how to get there at
exactly.
the top of your head.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
with the exception
exactly.
of like if you're in a mobile home park, those places are like mazes. You can use your phone to map your way out of there. But I mean, you should know the streets, but I had to just use my phone and rely on it. And that was really
Ooh.
scary.
Oh, I can
Like
imagine.
I remember like my medic was like, "Okay, go code 3 to the hospital really, really slowly." And that's another thing. When it's a serious call and they actually have to do work, they'll tell you go code 3, but really, really slow so that they can work. So you're not throwing them around.
No, yeah,
So I
exactly.
was like telling myself, I'm like, okay, it's not my emergency. It's not my emergency. We're just gonna stay professional. We're gonna do it.
Right.
And then I was using my phone to map myself to the hospital, which is again, it's really scary because what if you type the address in wrong, or what if the
Yeah,
address just said
exactly.
hospital? Like if you just look up the hospital name, there could be like 40 different things. You might be going to an urgent care for all you know. But no,
Exactly.
we made it to the hospital, and I didn't know where the ambulance bay was. So I told the firefighter in the back, I'm like, to let you know, like, I don't know where the ambulance bay is. He's like, okay, you just go this way, and now it's right there. I'm like, thank God. So we got in there, and the whole ER was waiting for us. And yeah, they like worked her for another 20 minutes, and yeah, it was just like really bad. I remember coming out, and the supervisor for a different division was there because again, we're in a whole different area.
Yeah,
Like the
exactly.
supervisor for a different division, he came in, he was like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good." He's like, "You guys are out of service. You guys are out of service. Don't worry." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah." He's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then I just like started like breaking down. I just like broke
Dude,
down right
that's
there.
so
Like I
terrible.
saw, yeah, I saw the back of the ambulance. There's like trash everywhere, just from all the equipment that they
Oh,
used, and I just broke down. I was just like, that, yeah,
that
something about
is,
kids. Like
yeah,
even during
exactly.
adults, like during a full arrest with adults, like if the family's not there, like the firefighters or whatever, they might the guy be like, "What is this guy wearing?" Why,
Right.
kids. I don't know. With kids, it's just something. It's just so unnatural to see a child die like that,
Oh, most
especially because
definitely.
I used to work with kids. I used to work really closely because I was a water safety instructor. I used to teach little kids how to swim, precisely
Nice.
her age. So that's what it
Oh,
really made it bad. It was hard on me. So yeah, I they sent me home after that.
oh,
Um,
that's good.
but
Oh
yeah,
gosh, that's so sad. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
And that's pretty much like you said that you're like brand new to you're like new to the job,
Well,
so
it
you're
wasn't
just
brand new. I was still like pretty new. I mean,
okay,
I
pretty
still knew
new.
how to do everything because I was. So here's the thing. I There's BLS ambulances, which is basic life support, which is just
Okay.
two EMTs. EMTs can hardly do anything. So the BLS ambulances, they don't really get a lot of serious calls. If
Right,
they
right.
do, there will be a paramedic on scene from fire or something. And then there's ALS ambulances where you're with a paramedic and you guys get the code 3911 calls and you do
Okay.
all that. So I
Right.
mostly had BLS experience because nobody likes working BLS because it's BLS. I call it bullshit life support because basically
Nice.
like you do transport calls, taking people from a skilled nurse from like a nursing home to the hospital, something like maybe they have pain in their shoulder or something.
Right,
That's what you
right.
get. But I did pick up a lot of ALS shifts because again, I love the job.
Yeah.
So I had that experience, but my experience was mostly BLS at the time. And the day before that day was where ran my first full arrest. I'd always tell
Oh.
medics like, "Hey, like I'm kind of new. I've never ran a full arrest." And it's kind of funny. Like that day, I told, "Hey, I'm new. I ran my first full arrest yesterday," and he said, "Cool. I hope it's out of your system because I don't feel like running a full arrest today." And
Oh,
then we got a pediatric full arrest, which is
oh
literally the worst
no.
thing that you could possibly like. A peds full arrest is probably the worst thing you could possibly get.
Oh
So,
no.
yeah,
Oh, oh, dang. Ah, that's crazy. That's really crazy. Yeah. All the stories that you told is like I didn't know it'd be like that intense. Like holy crap. I knew it'd be bad, like pretty hard, but
uh,
that intense is that's crazy. That's really crazy.
you just gotta
So,
keep your cool down. Like just do
yeah.
your job and just relax, and then you can cry afterwards. But
Yeah.
when you're doing your job, just do your job. You're there to be professional and work. So
Exactly. Exactly. Well, how long have you been doing
yeah,
this for?
almost a year and a half now.
Oh my
So
gosh, a year and a half.
I'm still pretty new to the industry. Uh, versus someone who's been here for like 9 years,
Right,
who's
right.
like actually seen everything. But but I can say like I am a seasoned. I have good experience now,
Oh yeah.
which is why I'm going to paramedic school now. As an EMT, you don't want to go straight into medic school. Um,
Oh.
you want some experience, especially on an ALS rig first, and then you go. I
Right,
mean,
right.
the requirement in California right now is 6 months as an EMT,
Okay, okay.
which could just be an EMT working anywhere. You could be an EMT at a hospital and you can go to paramedic school, which is not recommended because EMTs in hospitals do very different things.
Oh,
Um,
oh, okay,
but
okay.
yeah, you want at least you typically want like a year or at least 6 months of ALS experience
Okay.
before you go
So
to paramedic school. Yeah.
then my other question is, what's the difference between an EMT and a paramedic?
So paramedics, they save lives, and EMTs save paramedics.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I gotcha. Okay.
So, so as the paramedic, you're the one who can draw up the meds, do the assessment, you ask the patient the questions and try to figure out, okay, what's going on with them.
Right.
And then the EMT is just kind of there. The EMT hooks them up on the monitor. So we have a monitor. We have a 4 lead, which is just 4 cables that go on the patient, and then it kind of
Okay.
shows some angles of their heart rhythm. They put the blood pressure cuff on the patient. They put a pulse oximeter on the patient. So they just hook the EMT hooks the patient up to the monitor while the paramedic asks the patient questions.
Oh,
And then the
okay.
paramedic, and once the patient's all hooked up, the paramedic can look at the vitals and be like, okay, well, your blood pressure's a little low, fluids, and then the paramedic starts the IV.
Okay.
The EMT can spike the saline bag. They can spike the bag, hand it to the paramedic. Paramedic will attach the bag to the IV, and then they'll run it.
Okay.
So the paramedic's the one who administers all the drugs. The EMT's really there just to just help the paramedic, whatever they
Okay.
need.
Right. Kind of
Of
like
course,
support.
like being a good, yeah. Of course, a good EMT is always gonna know like what the patient is. Like you don't want to just be it, like not know what's happening. So like
Exactly.
when I see a patient's blood pressure is really low, like I'm gonna know that my medic is gonna probably want a bag. So I'm gonna spike the bag without them even asking.
Oh,
It's
okay,
just kind of
okay.
that like mental that mental that just knowing your medic,
Okay, right, right.
some medics might not want a bag in that situation. People
Yeah,
are
yeah.
different.
Yeah,
So it
exactly.
takes a while to get used to each other. And some medics don't want you to do anything without them telling you. Some expect you to know what to do. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like if I let's say we get on scene to anaphylaxis, like I am just an EMT. I can't really diagnose in the field, or suspect anything. I mean, I can suspect, but I can't really diagnose anything in the field. Say we get on scene, someone got stung by a bee and they're allergic to bees. I can
Right.
still see that this person's probably an anaphylaxis. So I'm gonna get the epinephrine ready. We have vials that with their glass in when we crack them open, glass might get in the medication, so we use a
Ooh.
filter needle to dry it. So I won't draw the medication, but
Okay.
I'll get the stuff that I know the medic needs ready, and
Right.
then the medic can grab it from me, and then they'll do everything, you know.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so it's like about that. A lot of times the medic is like, "Hey man, can you get me filter needle set up? Can you set up, whatever." But a lot of being a good EMT is just knowing your medic, knowing the patient, and knowing like this is probably what's gonna happen. My medic's probably gonna want me to set this up for them, so I'm gonna get that ready. And if they
Okay,
don't need
okay.
it, then great, that's fine. I can just put it back. Uh, but that way things are just faster.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then that's how you get your partner to like you. If you're a really good EMT, like your partner's really gonna like
Nice. That's awesome. Well,
you. Yeah.
and you're starting to be a paramedic soon too, so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
but you're excited about that. Is there anything further you want to go on to after paramedic, or are you kind of good at being a
Of course.
paramedic?
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing with being a paramedic is that just being a paramedic alone, it's not enough. Like you're gonna live in that, and for some people
Really?
that's okay. They love the ambulance so much that they just stay. But the thing is, if you're a paramedic anywhere else, like let's say, so firefighters they get paid okay, but if you're a firefighter paramedic, you get paid a lot better, and it's a lot easier to get. Same thing with like uh so CHP, they have flight medics on
Okay.
their helicopters. So those flight medics, they are police officers with the capabilities of a paramedic. So having your paramedic license is going to make it so much you're going to be so much more valuable. You're going to get paid more. You might get treated better. It'll be easier to get hired. So
Right.
the paramedic license alone isn't really enough to make a career or a good career out of, but it opens the door to a lot of things, mostly fire, but just having that license, you get paid a lot more.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's what's nice. But I want to go. I want to do CHP. Um,
CHP. Okay.
yeah. So it's California Highway Patrol. So they're law enforcement has like always appealed to me. You
Oh,
know.
okay. Cool. Cool.
So I mean, originally I wanted to go fire, but CHP, their flight medics like on the helicopter, like that's still really cool. They do get
Yeah.
paid better
Okay.
too. and they also have better work-life balance too. So firefighters, they're on for 3, 4. Sometimes I've seen people on for 9 days straight. They go back home and then they have to go back.
Oh
So
gosh.
and that's another thing. As a firefighter paramedic, you're so valuable that they need you. Like there's not enough paramedics, which they can do. They can force you to stay.
Oh
So
gosh.
firefighter paramedics do get forced to stay at work. They're getting overtime and crazy money, but like your time is valuable as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So which for me that wouldn't be a huge problem because I love working. Like later on in life, if you ever want to start a family,
Yeah.
firefighters their work life balance isn't that great.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
but
fair.
but another reason I want to do CHP is because as a flight medic on their helicopter, you're not gonna get all the bullshit. Like firefighters, you're still gonna get those toe pain calls at 3 a.m. The
Mhm. Oh, nice.
CHP, they're not gonna call out the CHP helicopter for someone who's I don't know throat's feeling itchy
Yeah,
at 4 in the morning. They're not
Oh,
gonna call out like they're doing like search and rescue stuff. So that's another reason that appeals to me. So
oh,
yeah,
cool. That's awesome.
yeah, mhm,
Oh, that's really nice. Well, I think I have one
yeah.
more question for you, and then I think we're going to close off. But what do you think? What is the most challenging part about being an EMT, and then what's the most easiest part? I feel like we
The
kind of went
most
over the
challenging.
hardest, but like seeing like little kids
So
die. But is there anything else
yeah,
that's more difficult? Do you think, or like similar, or
it, so the most challenging, I guess. It different. It varies. I mean,
right?
being an EMT isn't that hard. You just got to have a sharp mind and just be dedicated to it. What's the hardest part? I guess like dealing with some paramedics who are just like, they'll always be jerks no matter what. Or like
Yeah, exactly.
firefighters, like firefighters might blame you for doing something
Oh
or
gosh.
just because you're new. People
Oh
might
my
just give
gosh.
you shit. A
Yeah,
lot of nurses,
exactly.
some nurses won't take you seriously just because you're an EMT, and that's really annoying. That's I guess that's pretty hard sometimes. You just got to deal with it. And that's the same like every job has that. They're always going to be assholes that go.
Oh yeah, 100%,
So there's
100%.
that. But I guess the easiest part is the fact that you don't have to do paperwork. All you have to do is hand them stuff and drive. That's
Oh,
it.
that's not
You know?
bad.
So so yeah. Like if you're BLS, you are gonna have to do paperwork, but it's still not the same. Like you don't have to do it's not as in depth as a medic. I loaded the patient into the ambulance, we hospital, I gave report to the nurse. Well,
Right.
it's pretty much done. You didn't because EMTs don't really administer meds, but so that's pretty easy.
Oh, that's
But
awesome.
yeah, 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 man.
Awesome. Well, that's really sick. I'm so glad that I got you on here and we could talk about your career and like your experiences with it. And it's been really really interesting stories that you've told us. I definitely want to like listen to so much more. Like those are insane stories I've never heard before in my life. And so it's like I don't know if you ever heard so like people on YouTube will sometimes tell like true crime stories. So like this feels it's not like true crime stories, but it's just like it's telling a story about like your experiences with people and dealing with them and what's happened. So it's like an intriguing story that you get to listen to and you engulf in it and you want
Yeah,
more and more of it. It's like addicting story to it. So
yeah,
like I'm
yeah.
addicted.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's before when I was going into this career, like when I was in EMT school, I was looking up on Reddit, being like, "What's your crazy story?" 'Cause it's cool. It's cool to see.
It really
Um,
is.
I mean, if you're ever interested, like, usually fire departments will let you like do a ride out with them, where you can go on a fire engine. Like they'll let you just be there at calls. Get to see
No
what
way,
what it's
really.
like. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. You might be disappointed because most of our calls are pretty stupid, but you might get lucky. You might get something serious.
I
You
mean,
know,
I'll be
and
really down to try that out. Not
yeah,
gonna lie.
yeah. I mean, it's just like so. The thing is, like in movies, there's TV shows, there's music, there's camera
Yeah,
could
exactly.
be. But I'm gonna be honest, in real life, it's just you're working, you're opening packages, you're setting things up. It's just like you're at work. patient's dying, and if they die, then we just do CPR, which is just more work, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
It's
just
like
know what to do, you know.
exactly
Yeah,
it
yeah.
and
A lot of the time, it's just like that's it, you know. Whatever, you know.
Hollywood
I mean, not whatever,
glamorifies
but you know.
so many
Yeah,
things like criminal justice and stuff like that. So many people I feel like are going into those because they've seen Criminal Minds, they've seen these cop shows, they're so intrigued by it, but when they actually get into it, it's just like, oh, this is kind of boring. Nothing really happens. And so it's
yeah,
just like, why did I
yeah,
get into it? Because Hollywood glamorizes all of this. It glamorizes
yeah,
everything. Like the basic, even just opening a
yeah,
package, they put intense music on there. They zoom into the camera. Like it really glorifies way too much than it should be, honestly. And so it's just
yeah.
like
Um,
doesn't really happen like that.
adding on to that, I feel like a lot of people, like especially when they're in high school and stuff, they say, "Oh, I want to do this. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a pilot." They fall in love with the idea of being
Yes.
whatever they want to be.
Yes.
Like the idea of being a doctor, being a pilot, being a firefighter. Like it's really cool, you know. Like everyone loves firefighters. In the grocery store, people clap for them,
Yeah,
but like the
exactly.
reality, then there's like the reality of actually being a firefighter, where it's like you might just be sitting in your station all day, or you might be getting no sleep. You might be running bullshit calls all the time, or you might get a fire.
Yeah.
The reality is, most firefighters they mostly run medical because if
Okay.
they didn't run medical calls, they would actually just be sitting in their station doing nothing every day. but, uh, but yeah, I mean, fire is a great career. You know, it
Yeah, most
it
definitely.
really is in California. You get a good pension. You know,
Oh, cool.
but
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. And like I said, I definitely want you back on here. Definitely want to you to share whole stories, more of them. I'm if you're down for it, we can always do another podcast episode and you can just explain all sorts of stories to it because I love hearing them. And I'm pretty sure the audience
Yeah.
would love it to hear it as well. So, is there anything else you want to say before we end this podcast?
No, man. I mean, I enjoyed coming. I love talking about myself. Everyone loves talking about themselves, right? That's a
Oh,
psychological thing, you know.
exactly,
If
exactly.
you want
Everyone loves it.
if you want a girl to like you, just ask questions and then make her talk about yourself,
Perfect.
right?
There we go.
Yeah.
Have dating advice right here too. Perfect. I love it.
No,
Well,
yeah. If you want me to talk about, do invite me back and we can go into my sales background. That's a whole other story that I can get into.
yep.
Yeah.
That's another story.
So
I wrote
just let
down
me
my
know.
questions. We did not go through it, but hey, yeah, continue. Episode continue, guys. We can get one of those on there too. So stay tuned for those. So, and I really want to know what
Yeah,
that story is about. I remember you telling me about that. And I'm like, ooh, that's
yeah.
crazy. That's
I do think
crazy.
that is pretty like it is pretty interesting to me. Like even like in a way like even more interesting than like my EMS stories. But yeah.
Whoa. Okay, we definitely need to get you on here again. I'm stoked. I'm really excited to see what that gives out. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys listening and tuning in. And thank you again for coming on. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next podcast episode. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Later.